Welcome to Welfare Clinic. This is one of the first show after some time, and today we're going to be talking about women entrepreneurs. As you know, many women around the world and in this country face a struggle to get to the position that they want to. I have two amazing guests. I'm going to give a little bit intro about my guests, and then I will introduce both of them to you. We will also be able to take live calls. So if you want to ask any questions to any of my guests, then do feel free to call. The number is 0208 1234507. Quite a simple number to remember. So my first guest is Sarah Ali Choudhury. She is a internationally recognized chef, multi-award winner. She has received royal awards. She has done show on BBC, Channel 4. She's known as Curry Queen. She's also has started a project called Success with Sarah. And Sarah's list actually goes on, is a huge list. And if I do her introduction, I'll be doing that for the whole show. My other guest is Rowsonara Begum. She's a rising star in business. She has been involved since 2017 in family business. She's a communication director for Curry Connect, the business she ran called Saffron restaurant or takeaway, active member of APPG Foundation, member of a small business foundation. So the list for both of my guests is so long, is that if I just do the intro, then I will be just talking about their achievement and not you guys will not to hear what they want to say. So Sarah, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Really,
how are you? You okay?
Being here today and really looking forward to it.
Rowsonara, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to your show. And hi, Sarah.
Hi, nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too.
Good. Welcome both of you. As I said at my intros, this is one of my show after some time, and the reason I chosen to start off with women entrepreneurs because I sincerely believe there is many women out there that who has so much to contribute to the community, to the society, and often they face number of difficulties to and barriers to overcome to get to the position they want to get. And I sincerely believe both of you are inspirational in your own right. You are leaders within your own right. And I think people can learn so much from you. And I hope the next hour will be fruitful and people can get more information and feel free to ask any question. So Sarah, let me start off with you first. In terms of getting into curry industry initially, what made you to get involved? Why did you choose to go through that route and do that, all of that?
So I never really chose to go into the curry business. I was born into curry business. When I was younger, we were growing up. My parents had a restaurant, and my dad's quite a forward-thinking man, and he used to ask me to go and help him in the restaurant from when I was very, very young. I used to be working. Because we used to live above the restaurant, I used to, we were just around it all the time. We were growing up with the staff, all the, uncles, the chachas, they were all there. And they became it's like a family when you're growing up and you're living there, you're, eating with them, you're living there, you're watching TV together. So it becomes part of life, and that's how I grew up. And then as I got older, being in that industry, I just started by helping in the restaurant, but ended up running it. And that happened because going back again to my dad, he's a perfectionist. And I believe that him teaching me how to work in the restaurant was paramount for my success later, because the way he works and how careful he is. And if you look at any of the people from from years ago and the older generation, their work ethic was very different. And I suppose being around him all the time and him teaching me how to do things, it made me better. So I started working in the restaurant, and with his help and with my mom's help, then I started running the restaurant. And then I think when I was 18, I was recognized by Tandoori magazine as the youngest Asian female to be working, in an Indian restaurant. And that was a very long time ago, but much older now.
You're still
But
young.
still in that business, and still, we still have the family business, and I'm still with the restaurants all the time. And it's, I enjoy it. It's part of, I think it's in my blood. So it wasn't something I sat down and thought, oh, let's go join the food business. But one of the things that was paramount when I was 18, and one of the things that was noticed, was Tandoori magazine at the time was the biggest magazine at the time for the food industry, and that probably the first one that everybody can remember. And they were the people who came and said, we've been round everywhere and we've come across you. You're a young, Indian woman, Bangladeshi, from Bangladeshi and Indian background, and we want you to. Actually, I'm not actually from Bangladesh. My husband's from Bangladesh, but my father's from India, and my mom's from Guyana in South America. So when we had like a conversation with them, they came and they interviewed me, and that was when I was 18, and they said there was nobody running an Indian restaurant who was a woman at that time. And all these years later, it hasn't changed very much.
Mm. No, of course. No, thank you for that. And I think it shows in your success, obviously. And I think it always helps if your parents is supportive of you, especially in your younger days, the things that you want to do. So let me quickly move to Rowsonara. So, Rowsonara, you there? Yes, you're there.
Yes, yes.
I thought I lost you for a minute. So you're young. As I said in my intro, I feel that you are a rising star in the Bangladeshi community. Many parents would probably want their son or daughter to be doctor or engineer, but since 2017, you've been involved in your family business. And many young women out there probably will be looking at you and thinking, I want to set up my own business. How do I do that? How can I set up my business, or how can I overcome barriers? Because obviously when it comes to Bangladeshi women's, you have their both sides. You have to manage the house, and then you have to do the outside work. But don't get me wrong, many women do become extremely successful. So what made you go into your family business, but especially in the curry industry?
I finished at sixth form, went into full-time employment working for a pensions firm, doing administration. And within the pensions industry, there was different areas that I went into, such as property. There's different areas, VAT, and it's a long list, but it's not just pensions. I've learned about a lot of things. I'm still working for the pensions industry, but my dad, he had, in total, he set up 5 businesses so far. So obviously he hasn't got 5 at the moment. He's got 2 takeaways at the moment, but he wanted to set up another one for my brother. And I sort of naturally helped him out and just went through that journey of setting up the business with him. And going back to my studies, I'd actually studied business studies at GCSE level, then A level. I was always interested in business studies for some reason. And the more I studied it, the more I wanted to study it further. I ended up doing an open university degree whilst I was working full time. That took me 5 years. And this was in business studies, specializing in law. And so in theory, I'd gained a lot of knowledge around that area, and I was able to put all of that into practice when I set up the business. A lot of it was sort of ticking away, thinking, oh, I've studied this, and it all made sense. And I actually enjoyed that journey, just going through that process and setting up the business. And it's almost like I was sort of learning along the way and putting all the theory into practice. And at the same time, I wanted to do this for my father. He was very passionate about business, and especially just in the catering industry. Also, I had worked part-time at the takeaways when I was at school. So I sort of like the customer side, service side of things, and the business management side of things, as opposed to sort of like working in the kitchen. But I had gained a lot of exposure just being in that industry. And so I was working full time, I was studying, and then I set up the business for my brother, and all our siblings ended up working there. And we sort of did it like a rota-based system where we were able to still do what we wanted to do. So hence I was doing the pensions administration, and I still am, but at the same time help my dad out. And as it's been 3 years now, I enjoy managing the business.
And I saw Rowsonara, obviously during COVID-19, during the crisis, you were involved distributing food to NHS staff.
Yes.
Why did you choose to do that? Can you just tell us a little bit more briefly?
We really wanted to support the community. I've been getting more and more involved with the local community, just hence I joined as a member for Federation of Small Businesses. The more I went to these meetings, the more I met different people within the business community, and different ideas were coming up and how I could collaborate with different businesses. And I guess around that time, I know lots of businesses were doing that, and it sort of inspired me to do the same. And I thought, this is something that we can help with. And people really appreciated it. We got some good feedback, and most of all, we felt good. It's the feeling of doing that for our community.
So you see your way of making a little contribution, obviously during this crisis, what has been a very extremely difficult times for people. I can also tell our viewers they can watch live on YouTube, as well as from Smart TV, London Bangla YouTube channel. So you can watch us live on YouTube. You can call us and ask any questions you have to our guest. I'm going to quickly ask Sarah questions in terms of, Sarah, so you've been doing so much. I've seen your portfolio. It's a huge portfolio. You have achieved remarkable stuff over the years. And I'm sure the young women, or many women out there, who's looking at you and probably think, my God, she has achieved so much. How did she do that? How did she manage her family? How did she raise her children? And how did she manage to achieve so much more? So what would you say to those women out there who's probably looking at you and only dreaming that if they could get to your position?
They can have my position if they want it. No, it's there isn't any position, is it? I mean, it's just a lot of I think a lot to do with timing, a lot to do with people's life, like what they're going through in their own life, personal situations. I think there's so many reasons that people do what they do. And I think for me, I mean, I've been married for 20 years and I have 4 children. And it's, it is, I'm not going to say it's easy to do some of the things I do with children and stuff, but I think there's a time that comes in your life when you just feel like you want to do something that can make a difference. And normally, if you're doing something that will help everybody else, you will find that it will grow very quickly. And that's not, don't do it because of growing. Do it just because if there's an angle where you enjoy doing something, and if it can benefit everybody else, you tend to find that it grows easily and quickly, and you get your own comeback from it. Your own, maybe in one way it's like a charity or something, like Rowsonara did the feeding the
NHS stuff, yeah.
NHS stuff, and so many people do that in the restaurant. And there's always a little bit of a thing with the feeding people, especially during the COVID time. It's a big risk to them, and so it's taking that big risk to help people. It's it doesn't go unnoticed. But I would also say that women, there's always the thing with women in our Indian food industry. and people are always saying, how do they, how did they manage to come up, because it is a male-dominated industry. But my answer to that is, if you notice, most of the time it's any of the TV things or the, any interviews, this one, for example, it's always the men that are giving us a platform. So without those men, I mean, like I said, even when I started, it was my dad who was telling me to go and get involved. And in our culture, I mean, we're not, everybody who's watching this is probably from Bengali community, so there's no point in pretending that, and making some false imagination. I think it's fair to say that culturally, years ago, working in the restaurant was not acceptable for women, and very few women did it because of that reason. But as the years have gone by, women are working anyway. They're going out to work, they're working in schools, teachers, lawyers, solicitors, bus drivers, they're doing everything now. So it's not like it was years ago. And most of the time, the getting the women involved in the food industry was one of those things that used to be frowned upon. I remember when I used to work in the restaurant, and sometimes, if you're in a restaurant, anybody who's in the food business will know that staff from other restaurants on their day off will come to the restaurant and they will make their comments. They would used to say, like, oh, to my dad, you let your daughter work in the restaurant and you let your wife work in the kitchen, and Bengali, like, do you not feel that that's not a good thing to do or something? And my dad used to respond with, why would I feel that? Because I can keep an eye on them properly, so it was, in one way, I think it was, you can look at it in two ways. You can say that, the people used to say the men was holding the women down in that area.
I think, Sarah, let me stop you there, because I'm going to say a little bit in Bengali. So it's like, আমাদের অনেক বাংলাদেশি মহিলারা যারা আছেন, যারা মনে করেন যে তাদের হাজবেন্ড অথবা বাবা অথবা ভাই তাদেরকে সাপোর্ট করবে না রেস্টুরেন্ট বিজনেস, ওদের এনি আদার বিজনেস, যে কোনো বিজনেসেই অথবা জবের জন্য, অনেক সময় দেখা যাচ্ছে যে অনেক মহিলাদের ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল অ্যাফেয়ার্স সবকিছু হাজবেন্ড ম্যানেজ করতেছে, মহিলাকে ওইরকম অথরিটি দেওয়া যাচ্ছে না অথবা দিচ্ছে না। Why do you think that happens within, especially South Asian community, not just in Bangladeshi community, but it does happen within the South Asian community?
I think, if I'm completely honest with you, this is not a bad thing. It's a highly respectable way of looking at it. But I mean, living in England, it's kind of like, oh, you're under the thumb, or you are, you're being controlled, or however you want to call it. But reality is that those people are very protective over their daughters, their wives, their families, and I think that's in some ways a good thing. So obviously it would be very rare to go somewhere and see, when I was growing up, to see a woman working in the restaurant. But now I can honestly say that, looking back, and in the time when I was growing up and when I was doing it, one of the reasons that I was able to grow so much now is that during the time from when I was working in the restaurant, which was before I was 23, I was running it. After I was 23, I got married and I went to East London, and I was living with my in-laws, and they're very traditional, family, and wasn't really encouraged to go and work in a restaurant, was definitely frowned upon. East London, come on, and let's be real, like, well, what are you doing? That's not going to happen. So then you get into the usual habits of the, you're a beau now, your daughter-in-law, now you have to behave like a daughter-in-law. And actually what I found was, that doesn't, with all due respect, no disrespect to any culture or anything, but how does that help you to grow it just in the home? I didn't find that you could grow mentally, emotionally, financially, because if you're just at home, yes, you get the work done, you get the cooking done, you get the jobs done, and they're very stimulating conversations with the neighbors about their beau and all that kind of thing. It's not enough. It's not fulfilling enough. For me, it wasn't enough. So for me, it was, I did that for a few years, and I took time out. I had children. I had, my daughters. I've got 2 daughters and 2 sons, and during the time that I took out from working in the restaurant, I put on weight. Number one, because when you're in the restaurant, you're running around. Number two, the mentally, when you work in a restaurant, and I think most men can understand what I'm talking about in this respect, when we're referring to restaurant, is that when you're working in the restaurant, I wasn't in the kitchen, I was in the restaurant. And you're dealing with people firsthand, and Rowsonara will understand this as well, and any people who are working front of house. It becomes really quite nice because you meet so many different people, and you get to meet them, you talk to them, and you find out about other people, what they're doing. It broadens your horizon.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yes.
A bigger aspect, you learn about what other people are doing, and also gives you opportunities. So I think my following, to be honest, and the reason why people say, how did you become successful so quickly? I would say it took a good 35 years or 40 years of 40 years to get noticed overnight, I would say.
So it didn't obviously happen overnight. So Rowsonara, let me ask you in terms of, so one of the things you and Sarah, both of you said that both of your father actually helping you or helped you to get to where you are or to achieve the things that you want to achieve. And I think the daughters are, I have a daughter, and I know the daughters are enormously close to their father. But Rowsonara, do you think that a lot of South Asian men or Bangladeshi men feel that women may get higher status, more prestigious position than them? Do you think? Because if you look at, for example, if you go into corporate side of it, you always see in the boardroom it's a man dominated. You barely see any women in there, regardless of whichever background they may come from. So do you think that there is that sense of that feeling within the community or within the men-dominated world?
One of the things that I'm part of the all-party parliamentary group, also known as APPG, for Black and minority ethnic business owners. And that's one of those things that I want to highlight, is the fact that there is still some inequality, with gender inequality, especially in workplaces where opportunities, I think, should be available for male and females, the same opportunities, and it should be equal. But unfortunately, I have to say, this is not the case at the moment. I think there is a lot of work that can be done to address those issues. And what Sarah was saying about how women used to be frowned upon, even when I set up the business for my brother, that was still happening. And I'm one of 7. We're all close in age. We were all working together as a team. It actually worked really well. Yet you had people that didn't like the fact that there were so many girls working in that industry, which and I think the main thing is because I have had a supportive father, and my mother, she's no longer with us, but she was very supportive as well. We just carried on and got on with everything. We were very focused. We were very determined to make it work. And alhamdulillah, the business is doing okay. Considering the circumstances, we are doing well. And I think, if it wasn't for our father and the support network around us, we probably wouldn't have done so well.
What I'm thinking, listening to you and Sarah, both of you, is that I'm sitting here thinking that if your father or both of your fathers didn't support you, would both of you be in this position today? And what would be your message to the fathers, brothers, husbands, or future husbands? What would your message be to them, that where their daughter or wife or future wife want to do something, want to contribute their knowledge, their experience, not just in catering fields, but they might go into other fields. And we are seeing, because we are seeing the education is changing within the Bangladeshi community, within the South Asian communities. More of our children are coming out with first class degrees, master degrees. They are becoming doctors, nurses, bankers. So you name it, the things are changing. But what would you say to those men out there, maybe thinking a little bit backwards, if I can say that?
I think they need to, parents need to encourage their children to pursue their dreams. I mean, when I was a child, I didn't know straight away what I wanted to do. I just kind of went along the journey, studied, went into full-time employment, as I've already said. And I think you need to have the support of your parents to kind of encourage you to further your studies. I think education is really important. You can never regret going into education, because it will just better you, better your prospects. And what I would say is that even for people that are busy with families, you just need to find a work-life balance that works best for you, because we can multitask. I'm doing a load of things.
A lot of men can do that as well.
Oh, yes, I know, but women can also multitask. And I would say just take advantage of any training on offer, just basically opportunities to progress and develop your skills, I think is really important. And I think businesses need to support women in leadership opportunities and just encourage them to progress. So yeah, just definitely a lot of encouragement.
That's definitely useful. Sarah, I want to hear from you as well in terms of what would be your message. But also I want to ask, because you go to loads of events, and I'm sure Rowsonara does the same thing, and every single catering award ceremony, all of these I see, from president to secretary to executive members, it's always men. Why do you think that is?
But it's been set up by men, and the awards and stuff is, as we know, we have our male leaders who have organized these.
And what does it prevent them getting women into a leadership position? Because I'm just trying to understand, or many women out there probably would try to understand why that happens a lot.
No, I wouldn't say anything negative about anything of those people, because they are the people that you're talking about, and the award ceremonies and all of this. They are the people who have invited me to, be present in their events, and they've also, I've won awards from those events as well. And I think they are readily looking for women to help, to highlight them and to recognize them. But the problem is that there is not that many women who are in that industry, and not many women coming into the industry. And one of the things that I can say about our industry, which is the food business, is that there is lots of reasons. The last 10 years, our restaurants are just talking about immigration. All you've heard for the past 10 years is, we need to change the law for getting our, tandoori chef, bring our chef from Bangladesh. And it's been a constant battle with immigration system to try and get our staff here. So in the meantime, one of the things that I thought would be good is that women who are already here, who know how to cook, instead of bringing these people from Bangladesh, and whoever isn't supposed to be here, or whatever angle people want to bring them. There was a time when everybody was coming and, from abroad, and they changed the law. And the reason they changed the law is because when you take the mickey and you use the system and you play with the system, they created it. A lot of this.
So in other words, some people, although very a small minority, but was abusing the system, I guess.
Yeah, of course they were. So many people. I mean, we all to blame. everybody who's got a restaurant to some extent is all to blame. There was a time when everybody was bringing people and then they're getting the council house and the benefits, and then eventually, of course, the country law is going to say, okay, that's enough now. And now we created that mess for ourselves. And the other mess that was also there was in the time when I was growing up, I very clearly remember people used to come and say, oh, I wouldn't let my son or daughter work in a restaurant. I want them to go and become a lawyer and a doctor and, balagam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Restaurant work is looked as not great work. And so then what happened is suddenly the immigration rules changed, and then, oh, so who's going to help me in the restaurant now? Because now I've got no staff. So the children don't want to help because they don't been told all their life not to work in the restaurant.
But I think what you're saying that, like restaurant hamkhora, it wasn't a balaham, but I think a lot of individuals have been extremely successful businessmen and have built wealth of knowledge and stability for their students' future, and they pay for private education and so on and so forth. So they do, although both manche khoibas and okay gubala khamna restaurant, or especially when it comes to marriage proposal and stuff like that, restaurant ham and husband, and they say, oh no, forget it, it's not going to happen. But but it's still a job, and I think a lot of people, those businesses, somebody has to do the job.
Well, I did that. I was told even by my dad, even though I was in the restaurant, my dad said the same thing what you just said. My dad said that to me, and I was like, but I'm doing that, Dad, So I think what people need to look at is in terms of years ago, those people who came over and those people who started the restaurant and maintained the restaurant, they're pioneers in the food industry. And no doubt, I'm talking about not just people, like my dad, who came over years ago. He came many years ago and was, working in the restaurant, and then he built his own restaurants. And then so many other people, all of our fathers did that. But even the younger people, look what they've done for the country. Indian food is known as British food now. It's on the menu. How difficult was that years ago? Who would have thought somebody had an idea? They came from Bangladesh or India or wherever they came from, and they had an idea that I want to eat some food. I can imagine they came and they just want to eat their own food because they're fed up of egg and chips or whatever they was eating, and said, I want to taste some real curry. So let me make something. Somebody they must have given it to. This is my own interpretation because we really don't know what happened. How did it suddenly start? And, they probably gave it to somebody English to try. An English person probably loved it and said, oh, this is great. Bring it out. And so an idea was born. I can imagine that's how it probably started. And then the next thing that we are, how many, 12,000 or something restaurants, or how many Indian restaurants there are, and also leading in strength of flavor in terms of what we can offer in our restaurants. Our menus are like, you go anywhere else and you have a look at their menu, it's one page. Come to an Indian restaurant, oh, we've got 10 pages here. What would you like? We can do anything. Absolutely. We can create anything. And we're offering so much to people, and we're making it so easy for people in England. They know that they can come to a restaurant, an Indian restaurant, they're going to get nice food, they get good service, and I think those people who started it and the people who continuing to do it, because I am seeing some young boys who, there are a few that I know who are in the industry, and their father did it and they're now doing it. My younger brother is doing it. He's running the restaurant with my parents.
You cook some amazing dishes, I should say, that I have seen, and you have held many events for, whether it be for charity or for organization or for a project, where you have gone and cooked live where people can see and get encouraged. And I think you're right. Everybody like Friday night curry where they go out, because I grew up in Brick Lane, so I used to see how busy they were. But before I move to Rowsonara, briefly, I just want to ask, is that, do you think the curry industry is declining at the moment?
Well, at the moment, everything's declined, isn't it, because of COVID-19? But I think the curry industry will never decline. Impossible, because we all love our food too much, and we are like the number one dish in England. It can't decline, and I wouldn't want to see that happen. It's been the bread and butter for us here, and a livelihood for so many people, and it's given so many people jobs, incomes, homes. They built their family here, and because of these Indian restaurants that are here, they've been able to develop themselves abroad. They've been able to support their families abroad. When they go back home and they're wearing their designer shades and everything, they are remember that money came from these restaurants here and the work that they put in here. So I hope that they can maintain it.
No, Rowsonara, I just want to move to you. And before I move, I think what Sarah said, I wasn't trying to be negative against any award ceremony or any individual or any organization. I just want to make that absolutely clear. But I was just trying to understand why there were so many men and not women on those particular positions. Rowsonara, you mentioned you're part of all-party parliamentary group. And obviously, during this COVID-19, the many businesses have been going through enormous amount of difficulties, although government have been given huge amount of financial support, something that we have never seen before in this country. But then we never seen such illnesses or crises or pandemic lockdown throughout the world. But do you think the support the government has given is enough, or do you think the many businesses, as we ease lockdown, we come out of this crisis, fingers crossed, do you think many businesses will close their doors, or do you think they will be able to sustain and continue?
So I work with UK Curry Connect, and we're an industry trade body. Basically, there's a network of people within the catering community. So yes, I was actively working with the all-party parliamentary group as part of the feedback on the government support that we had been receiving, such as the grants and the loans. I think what the government have provided has been good for businesses, but I think there is more that can be done, such as I know in recent, I think it was a few days ago, there was things in the media about potential reduction of VAT rates, which is something that we have been lobbying for. We have done that quite actively from the beginning of lockdown. So I think I'll be pleased to see if we can get the VAT reduced, definitely to at least something like what other European countries are doing. If we can get it reduced, definitely I think that's a good start. I'm not sure if it will be scrapped entirely, but I think anything that we try to lobby for to help our members, I think is is good, it's positive. And there were other things that we lobbied for, such as insurance policy queries, where there wasn't any cover for coronavirus, and for business interruption policy. And something that was quite controversial, where there should have been something in place. I think that's ongoing at the moment. So there's these meetings that I go to, we do follow these things up.
Can I just stop you then? I just ask you just specifically on that particular issue, because I know many businesses where they had insurance, but because of their insurance refusing to pay them, saying the COVID-19 is not covered. Is there anything government doing about that? And Sarah, you can come in if you know something about it as well.
I think there could be legal actions against those companies that are seen to be unfair. So I had also seen something about that. So there's so much that we're looking into. As I say, there was about VAT, there was insurance, there was about third-party companies with their commissions to get those waived. So where we're getting more online orders and not many people coming through the door, well, we're not taking any collection orders at our takeaway. So there's more online online orders coming through, we have to pay commission on those orders. So again, that's something UKCC were liaising with the third-party companies about, and we did get a package, a support package, so that helped out our members. And I think I don't think it would just stop here. After, when lockdown eases, there will be I think the businesses will still require continued support, because every business, you know, individually they might have their own problems. So I think it's a case of saying to business owners that you need to ask for that support, or seek help, basically. And I don't want to encourage people to, you know, give up and close their doors. I really hope that doesn't happen, because as we were saying, that, you know, the British public love their curries, and there's definitely a market out there. And I think we need to bounce back with confidence, and just everyone be proud of the journey. And you know, the journey that we've gone through, we can survive this. And I think everybody needs to give themselves a pat on the back for making it this far. And definitely, I wouldn't say give up and close your doors. I think government are being good. There's plenty of support out there. And, you know, we are here to support you as well. So.
But obviously, you say the government is giving support. But obviously, where they're now talking about reducing the furlough from 80% to 70% to 60%, that means the ownership then lies with the employer to pay their employee. And a lot of the employers will be genuinely struggling to pay the basic wages to their employees. Do you think it's the right time for the government to start reducing the furlough scheme from 80% to 70%, then subsequently to 60%?
Yeah. With regards to the furlough, I think the government are obviously trying to, you know, kickstart the economy. I think that might be a bit too soon, but I think it's just one of those things that I mean, potentially, like you say, it could be a risky move, because people could end up losing their jobs. So again, things like that, we are closely monitoring, and it's not everything that the government have provided. I couldn't say I agree with everything, but what I'm saying is what the support that they've given small businesses so far, such as the furlough scheme and the grants, have been helpful. But certainly we need to keep reviewing what you know, support is out there, or, you know, things are going to change. We just need to keep up to date with what's going on, basically, with the government. Hence, as I say, when I work with the UKCC, we look at all those different things where we can help our members, and members do approach us and give us suggestions, and we do take those things forward, and try to help lobby, basically, for those things.
No, thanks for that, Sarah. So you also, I know you chair a small business federation. Am I right on that? Or
I'm the food policy. I'm in charge of the food policy. I'm leading that for FSB. And
so, can I just ask you the same question that I've asked Rowsonara, in terms of, do you think it's the right time? Because many businesses, many individual traders, self-employed people, you know, they'll be struggling, no doubt, and we can see that happening already within the community. Do you think it's right time to start reducing from 80% to 70%?
Really, I'll be honest with you, I have I don't ever really like the way that people get like questioned or understood or lobbying about this kind of thing, because that's just not my field or my area. I don't have a clue about who, you know, all of these things. I always think it's my biggest nightmare when people say we're gonna go and start lobbying for this, because what happens is ultimately something else goes wrong. And what you find is, like, recently they were talking about, oh, we're going to bring out these loans and this and this, everything to help people. I really think that in terms of this country and how it's run and how it's being run, where benefits are concerned, I think this country is really tops. If you go anywhere else in the world and go and see what they're giving, it's not like.
But you say that though, Sarah. But even if you take, Richard Branson, a multi-billionaire, if you take the owner of Ryanair, when those individuals come live on TV and say they are financially struggling and they asking government bailout,
I wouldn't trust them if I were you.
but so if those rich people, filthy rich people, saying things like that, what do you think they small men running a corner shop?
To be honest, if they say that they're struggling, I would say that's why they're rich, because they know how to talk and they know how to play the system. Let's be completely honest. We have been given money during this time, some form or another, to try and get us through this difficult period. It was something that happened that affected the whole world. And there are so many places and so many countries that don't have anything. They're not getting nothing. So they're just having to deal with the situation. So when you're put in a situation, you have to deal with it. What I found with things like lobbying and trying to sort of change things, or these, when something comes, you also find maybe sometimes you get something that's good and you get the bad with it as well. So, suddenly they brought in this idea of these loans and to help people, bounce back loan, 50 grand is the maximum, and suddenly everybody's running for 50 grand because they weren't really checking anything. Even people with bad credit score could get it. And then all of a sudden what happens is you're now stuck in this difficult situation where they're going to say, well, and now we want to, we've just realized that people are playing the system, so now we're going to give you 30 days to let us know if you've made a bit of an error. Now, it doesn't make any sense to me that people played that system of how much money they could get hold of, because you could take what you could rightfully show, or you could do more. So there's two parts to this story, and the way I see it is how you run yourself as a person. So a lot of people go on about, the religion side, which I'm not a massively religious person or anything, but I do have my own belief, and I don't like to, I like to keep things straightforward. So, people thought, well, we could just get this loan, let's just get 50 grand and let's just run with it. What were they thinking? I mean, obviously, you're going to have to now show how much money you're making to pay that back, and sometimes you're going to put yourself in more problem to say that, oh, well, I needed that much. They said, well, if you need that much, you must be making this much. It's a very clever way. Let's not forget we're dealing with Boris Johnson. Let's not forget that we have, people who are giving everybody an opportunity in small business to almost let them kind of completely open themselves up, to what is really going on behind the scenes in their business. So if you're being really honest with yourself, you would say, okay, this is my business, this is how much I make, and this is how much I need. But by people playing that system and taking advantage in a time when the country and the world is really going down, it's not a very clever way to do things. They're now saying that after the 30, you've got 30 days to let us know if you're one of those people who's done it, and we can fix it. But if you were to get caught, then it's going to be an even bigger nightmare for you. So why would anybody want to put themselves in that situation? Yeah. I mean, it's so obvious that was going to happen. So that's why I always get nervous when we talk about lobbying and that kind of thing, because I always think that, one thing good will come, but there will be a lot of bad will come with it as well.
Rowsonara, you wanted to come back on this particular subject, and you wanted to say something. Far away.
No, I'm just saying that I understand what Sarah's saying, but I think I personally, I want to help make a difference, and I know Sarah said you do as well. But I just enjoy just helping, business owners with queries that, the Asian catering industry. A lot of the owners are probably not. May not find the information that the government has provided they might not be able to easily access it, or they may not be able to understand it. Hence, I think, you know, there are genuine people out there who want to do good business. So I think, you know, business owners need to use their common sense, yes. And I think the most important thing is, you know, we need to survive. So putting all of that aside, I think we do need to all come together and kind of help our make our industry survive. And if there's anything that I can do to help, I would feel like I'm making a difference.
You're right. I think in a sense that we're a lot of businesses or employers who are genuinely struggling. And I think I can understand where Sarah's coming from, but genuinely struggling, but also didn't know how to apply for certain things. And I know that many people was looking for experienced accountant or experienced import-export person who can help them or direct them how they go about doing some of those stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if my father didn't have us, he would have had to do this himself. So if there's something I don't understand, I would go to my accountant, I'd look for that information myself. But what I'm doing, or what our organization are doing, are getting all of that information together and relaying that out to our members in an easily sort of a way that everybody can understand that information, rather than having to go into the website. They might not even have the time to go in and read everything. So in that sense, you know, it's good that the government are giving us that support. And I think if we are able to help our members and people in the catering community with relaying that information to them, for them to, you know, access it if they need to. At least we've done our bit by sharing that information to people. And that way, I think we would help our industry.
Okay.
For businesses to survive.
Thanks for that. We are coming very close to the end of our show. The time does fly when you discuss important issue. Sarah, I just want to quickly touch on something that I know about. You involved part of a book, or you contributed in a book or something. Just so reason I'm just asking those questions, or trying to get it out of you, so that people do get inspired or people learn something about it. You want to just very briefly say something?
I've got them here. There's two. There's one called Unlock You. That's one of them, which was that I had endorsed. And the other one is the Female Entrepreneurs, the Secrets of Their Success. And one of the chapters they wrote about me in there, talking about really female entrepreneurs and starting their journey. The book's available on Amazon. But the thing is, the reason that we were going to speak about the book was just because one of the questions I was asked in my because I've got this Facebook group called Success with Sarah, just helping small business owners and entrepreneurs with reaching their business goals. And that's like, it's not something where you have to pay or anything like that to join. It's just where during the lockdown time, I was at home and I just wanted to do something to help those small businesses without them, you know, there's no membership charge or anything like that. And it's just sharing the knowledge, because so many people say, like, how did you manage to do this, or how did you do that? And I thought that group would be an ideal place that people can come and learn from me directly, just through like live videos on how to do it. So one of them was about the book endorsements and things like that, in terms of growing their business and their brand to you know, to be either written about or to endorse a book. Just gives them that opportunity to become more visible as a leader in their field, no matter what.
So if any women out there who needs help or advice, I'm directing them towards you. Rowsonara, can I just ask you quickly, you also, well as you do your professional job, you do your business, but you also work with community. I know you was or are involved with the Salisbury Police or Independent Advisory Group. Can you just tell me a little bit more about that, what you do, and why did you decide to go also in that direction?
I've kind of got my teeth into quite a lot of things, so I'm always on the lookout for things like that. I think I'm really interested in working with the local community. Seeing as we serve the local community, I think it's good to kind of get involved and just see if there's any way that I can help or contribute in any sort of way. With the police, it's there's different issues going on in our city of Salisbury. So I just thought, again, that's another avenue, and it kind of links in with your business community things that go on. And so that's just another area that I've just gone into. So it just basically talks about local issues, they just ask for feedback, and I give my views. It's a very new thing that I've gone into. So I'm looking forward to going to more meetings.
And what is it? What would be your message? Because we obviously coming to end of the show. What would be your message to all the women out there who are watching our show today? And I can tell you a lot of people are watching our show. What would be your message to them? What would you say to them today? That looking at you and Sarah and thinking, only if I could sit in the same position as them.
Well, Sarah and I are here. If you ever need some advice, I'm sure you can contact us. And I would say that, pursue your dreams. If there's anything that you want to study, just go for it. Don't limit yourself. You can multitask. You don't have to I know there's an expectation for Asian women to look after the family. You can do that, but you can also do other things. It's just how you balance your work life. So I would definitely encourage more women to go out there and work. And if you want to set up a business, I don't know, it could be anything. You want to set up a business, it is achievable. Having the support definitely helps. And there's all sorts of information out there. So many influential people that you can approach and ask for advice. So yeah, definitely just don't give up on your dreams, I guess.
Sarah, what would be your message to our viewers?
Well, I would say at the moment, everybody stay safe. I'm sure not everybody is in the food business. They're doing so many other things. But if you are in business or small business or entrepreneur or that kind of thing, and if you need any advice, you can check out my Facebook page. It's my name, Sarah Ali Choudhury, and then you go to Success with Sarah. And hopefully I can...
And your mentor, because obviously on your title it says coach, mentor and entrepreneur. So do you also mentor and coach people as well?
Actually, it was Forbes recently, the magazine Forbes recently did an article, and they gave me this title from what I was telling them that I do. And I've been using that, and it's been really quite lucky for me, to be honest. So I've been helping a lot of people through with their business and things like that. But like I said, this is not it's more helping people as a more wider community, because we're in lockdown and we're at home. That's my kind of giving back to the community at the moment. I have to always, the going out and doing the feeding and all of this, I normally do that for like homeless people, but during this time things have changed drastically, and as I have children, I have to be very careful to allow myself to be in places with children. I don't want to risk anything with my parents or my children. But all in all, I would say that there is, in terms of building your business and your brand, if anybody needs any help, they can come and check out my group and get in touch with me, and I'll be happy to help them.
Sarah, Rowsonara, thank you so much for your time and being on the show today. No doubt I will have both of you at some point again in the future, because there's so much more to talk about with Sarah and Rowsonara, because I think that many women, many people out there would be genuinely inspired by your success stories and the things you guys have achieved. So, once again, thank you to both of you for giving up your time and joining me today on the show. And stay safe.
Can
Thank
I
you.
just add one thing before we go?
Sure.
Thank you for inviting us on the show as well, speaking for Rowsonara as well, because that is giving us a platform as well and putting us out there and everything. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. Rowsonara, you want to say anything?
Thank you for inviting us. It's same as what Sarah's really said, giving us the opportunity to put our views out there. And I know it's a difficult time at the moment, but I think we need to all stay positive. Obviously, stay safe, but everybody needs that confidence right now more than ever. And as more and more people come out of lockdown, I know it's a scary time, but as long as we all stay safe, stick to the government guidelines, then we just have to hope for the best.
Thank you. Thank you to all our viewers for joining us and staying with us for throughout the hour. My next show will be on mental health and domestic violence, and I will have two amazing guests again. And do join us. Stay safe. We are going through difficult times. The virus is still out there. The social distancing element is still in place. So do stay safe. Look out for your neighbors, your friends, and family. And once again, thank you very much for joining on LB London.